ears, keeping her eyes on the floor the entire time she spoke. "The worst is that our Lord will seize our house if we don't comply." Silence fell over them. When their mother spoke again, her voice was flat. "In the morning, the Reeve will come to fetch one of you." Durand gasped. "An indentured servant? Mother, not I. You know I'm sick. I get fevers, chills. I can't do it. I wouldn't last a week. That kind of hard labour would kill me." He sniffed and wiped his nose with his hand. "Well, I don't think we have to worry about it." Edward casually glanced down at his hands and then brushed off his sleeve, as though ridding himself of a speck of dirt. Mother and Durand stared at him with open mouths. "It will be taken care of. Bailiff Tom will speak to our Lord today and pay our sensom for us." "Why would he do that?" Durand asked. "Because Tom wants Annabel, and I've given him permission to marry her." Annabel watched her mother's face, waiting for her to protest and say that such a thing could never be. But she didn't say a word. "Will Annabel marry the bailiff?" Durand looked not doubtful, but hopeful. It seemed he wanted to sell her to the bailiff as much as Edward did. "Mother, please say no. Say you won't let them do this." Besides, Edward didn't realise the enormous fine the jury had set against the family. The bailiff could never pay such a fine. In fact, Tom must have known that the fine would be extreme and lied to Edward so the family would force Annabel to marry him. "What choice does she have?" Edward's voice was hard and forceful. "She has to marry the bailiff, or one of us will be forced to indenture ourselves to the new lord." Mother returned her son's gazes and sighed. "If Annabel will marry him, it will smooth things over, if not solve our problem and raise our status with the villagers. But she may refuse." A stabbing pain went through Annabel's stomach. She only half listened to the rest of their conversation. "Oh God, I wish Father were here." She thought about what her father would say and how he would protect her. Other things were said before Edward gestured with his arms, angrily slashing the air. "Don't look at me. Can you see me as a servant? Preposterous. Doesn't everyone know our father's family was nobility, that our grandfather was a knight? I won't do it." "Nay, son, of course not," Mother muttered. Mother couldn't defy their lord. They would be thrown out of their house, and who would give their mother shelter? But Annabel realised the jury had given her a way out, another choice besides marrying Bailiff Tom. She could go to Lord Lewise and offer herself as an indentured servant. Her brothers would still have to do the boon work and the other day's work required of them, but they could go home every night, and most of their days would be their own. Annabel would be bound as a servant to the manor house and to Lord Lewise's household, sleeping at the manor, eating at the manor, working alongside his other servants without pay. As much as she dreaded serving under the fierce new lord who had accused her of throwing herself in front of his horse, it was preferable to marrying Bailiff Tom. If she hadn't fought back and gotten away from him at the butcher's shop, he might have succeeded in... She didn't want to think about what. The villagers resented the Chapmans as idlers, too proud to work. But Annabel would prove that she was not. She would prevent her mother's home from being taken from her. She tried to imagine Mother sleeping outdoors, with no food and nothing to protect her from the rain or cold or wild animals. What a sin it would be if she and her brothers allowed that to happen to their mother. But her brothers would run off, abandon their domain village to join a band of outlaws before they would become indentured servants forced to do the most menial tasks, carting dung and herding sheep and geese at the Lord's manor house. Edward was the oldest at 22, and so should be the one to go. However, besides keeping his personal appearance tidy, his black hair cut and combed, his face shaved and clean, all he did was sit around all day and drink ale with the miller's sons. Now that a crisis had come their way, could Edward not play the part of a man this once? She looked again through the crack in the door. Durand clutched at the back of his neck, emitting a sound somewhere between a groan and a whimper. He was always fancying himself ill and expecting to be waited upon. Father had not become a wealthy merchant by refusing to work, but her brothers couldn't seem to grasp that. They'd expected to have wealth dropped into their laps and could not accept that their father's riches had disappeared forever the moment his ships were destroyed. "I'm afraid Annabel won't marry the bailiff," Durand said, sinking down in a chair and covering his eyes. Then he suddenly lifted his head, almost smiling. "Perhaps she would agree to become the Lord's servant for 3 years." Edward snorted. "Even if she did, we'd still have to work in the harvest fields." Durand's bottom lip poked out like a petulant child. "You're all healthy and strong, not like me." "Oh, for pity's sake, Durand." Edward took a menacing step toward his brother. "Do you expect us to feel sorry for you when we're all in the